Hello and welcome to another episode of A Friend for the Long Haul. The episode you're about to hear is the tail end of me and Emerson and Jessie from the COVID Long Haulers podcast talking when we were just going to do 10 or 15 minutes together for our Long COVID Awareness Month episodes, but we ended up talking for 3 hours and it was great. And I'm so happy to have two new friends who are so lovely. I hope you really enjoy the 1 hour that our 10 or 15-minute conversation turned into for my podcast. Thank you, Emerson and Jessie, so much. It was an absolute pleasure to get to meet you and get to know you better.
I'm here with Emerson and Jessie from the COVID Long Haulers podcast. Thank you both. We have been talking for almost 3 hours
Yeah.
now, recording for their podcast, and I think we could probably go all day.
We could.
But so this is going to be a segment for my first episode back after hiatus, which was really just sort of a existential and breakdown and TBI stuff and exhaustion. But the focus of this episode is on community and just how we have all come to support each other and know each other and rely on each other. And I want to kind of start at the beginning with you two for your podcast. And I'm wondering what was happening respectively with you within your own long COVID. How did you meet? How did it become like, should we have a podcast? You actually doing it? What was the time frame there?
Our podcast did shift in focus, though. You're not wrong, but I'll let Jessie
Yeah, it
speak
did.
first.
I joined a Discord server because I was looking for any answers about long COVID because there were none. And silly me, I thought because all of us had gone through a pandemic together that there might be more out there about
Yeah.
COVID since there was so much research about COVID, but not long COVID. So I was looking for community. I found this Discord server and just started talking to people and then learned a lot. Actually, the first episode of our podcast, Saltmaster Callie. Callie was one of the first people I talked to.
Me too.
Yeah, just, figuring out like histamine stuff, And then I think eventually Emerson, you joined,
Yeah.
and we hadn't really talked about podcasting at that point yet,
No.
but there was a account on it was Twitter then. I think it was called Faces of Long COVID, sorry, not
yeah.
Long COVID. It was Faces of COVID, where it was showing like people that were dying of COVID at that time because, the government and certain people were pretending that it was a hoax. So this account just showed the lives of these people and how it was affected. And I thought it was so beautiful. It was obviously very sad, but it was so important to mark that this was happening. And so I would see stuff like that, but I didn't see long COVID represented. And then Emerson, you joined the server.
Yeah, I joined the server around Christmas of 2023. That was about my first half year of having long COVID, and I was struggling so much. I already had been diagnosed with long COVID in November at that point. My long COVID started August 2023, but I didn't have any other real explanations of what my symptoms were. Turned out later on that I had severe dysautonomia and POTS and MECFS and MCAS and the whole collection. But I was just struggling so much, and I joined the server out of desperation of just getting answers because no one had any answers, and everyone was telling me, give it a couple of months and you'll recover and you'll be fine. And a couple of months would pass and I would never recover, and it felt like things were getting worse and I was spiraling and my mental health was in a terrible place. And I joined the Discord server. That's where I met Jessie and the other two hosts of our podcast, Rush and Callie. And I think that is then where we had a lot of conversations. At some point, none of us, all four of us have different like stories of who first mentioned the podcast, whose idea was it. No, we have no agreement on that, but
That's funny.
that is where the four of us at some point came up with the podcast to share our stories. And at the beginning, it was a bit more recovery focused of let's talk about what helped everyone recover and the idea of spreading information and talking about treatments and these unorthodox treatments that a lot of people wouldn't consider because it sounds completely crazy, you know. Drink, like, for example, for me, one of the main things was normal water dehydrates me, so I can only drink electrolyte water. Saying that out loud doesn't sound like it doesn't make any sense, but that's my reality. And so that was kind of like what we wanted to, that's what was words. That was where our podcast started. But then since it has kind of grown into something much bigger and much more community oriented and all these things.
Yeah, it was like I say this a lot, but I remember like Humans of New York. Remember that account?
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's still running, but
It is.
okay, cool. But I always loved reading those stories about just people. So it was like, well, no one's talking about this in a personal way. It's all like, oh, people recover like within this long, or my when I first went to rehab therapy, they were like, oh, in 3 months you could be back to work or something. And I was so excited. That was not true.
No.
But it was just like there was such a need at that moment for me to find other people and just hear what their experience was. And like Callie at that time was the person I knew that had the long he had been sick the longest, and he had like this whole formula of like, this is how much salt I take, and every time someone would join the server he would like he
Yeah.
would paste like his recommendation, which really helped me. So it was just like a lot of us just kind of in the same boat of like, we want to help other people find some kind of relief, even if it's not recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want them to feel less alone because we all feel that, and we should do something with this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was very similar for me. I didn't have anybody else around me. And then I made friends with some long haulers in my area. That sounds like an ad. Long haulers in your area.
I would call that number.
But having in-person friends with it changed so much for me. And I mean, we just cried the first time we all met in person. And I still do that the minute if I meet a long hauler in person, I just bawl because I can see everything that's happened for us. And we've known each other in this way, like for years. But then
Yeah.
you're in person and it's like, holy shit, you're a real person who
Yeah.
has saved me. And it just makes me cry. But I know so many people don't have long haulers in person. And I wanted to
I don't
give
know
just
any.
like, yeah, I just thought if I have something where it feels like you're at my house for 45 minutes or an hour once in a while, I have people who say they answer questions. They feel like they're part of the conversation. And that's like the best thing in the world for me.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
feels so good. So I'm really glad that you all have found that too. What's the dynamic with 4 hosts?
How? Well, it started.
Jesse and I are the hosts.
Yeah, we're the main hosts. Like what do we call
Yeah.
ourselves? The producers.
Yeah.
Because until recently, neither of us had jobs. Now I am working, but Callie and Rush kind of started that first episode, and they were working. So we had a lot more time and desire to do more. And so it was like, all right, I'll do it. I'm bored and I can't get a job, so might as well. So it just sort of naturally kind of moved in that direction of like Emerson and I doing like the legwork, and then we'd pull them in as they were available or as they were interested. But we want to mention that they are hosts, but it is mostly it's mostly me and Emerson. And how does that work? We talk before I was working.
Every day.
We would talk every day, like throughout the day.
We'll send each other like 15-minute voice messages regularly, and it will cover every topic. Our dogs, knitting, because we both knit. For Jessie, also gardening, because she's an amazing gardener. It will discuss our current health problems, like I'm in a flare, I'm crashing, I'm having weird digestive issues, I feel like I'm going to die tomorrow. And then also, of course, always podcast stuff. Who's going to be our next guest? How do we want to finish editing this episode? Do we think we can release next week? Jesse and I were we were friends before the podcast started. Well, online friends. It's difficult because we have a massive time difference. And before I started Cromwell, and I wasn't really able to be a human in the evenings when Jessie is awake, so it was a bit difficult often managing that. But now that
Yeah, Emerson's in Switzerland and I'm in the Eastern United
yeah, right,
States.
exactly. Where was I? But I think the podcast brought us closer together, and I think that Jessie is probably one of the people I speak to most outside of my family, of course, and one of the people I am most excited to speak to on a daily basis.
Not with myself.
But yeah, that's kind of like the dynamic between the two of us. And yeah.
Both type A.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Having that understanding of each other and then having the same illness and being able to be that open with each other, is that kind of how you manage doing it and stay connected to the community without burning out, do you think?
Oh,
Are
we
you able?
definitely
I don't
burn
think I
out.
can get this.
There have been podcast episodes that were incredibly difficult to produce, where after that there were voice messages with one of us, me, crying. But
It's
we
a
both,
struggle.
it's a
It's
struggle, and
emotional.
it's been difficult in
Yeah.
some periods, but we work together as a team and we communicate very well. And there have, like, for example, for me, moments where in the moment I get really angry and I say things I don't mean. And I've been to Jessie, I'm sorry. This is like the toddler part of my brain of like, it's like the toddler part of my brain being, I'm tired and I can't function anymore. Don't take anything I just said seriously. Can we come back in an hour and discuss this? So we just communicate as much as we can and we understand each other. And that's the most important thing, is that we both are going, we have very similar symptoms. I'm talking more than you, Jessie. I'm sorry.
Good.
I think having similar symptoms and just similar backgrounds, similar personalities is what makes it easy for both of us to co-work this so well.
And it's honestly like such a joy for me. Like it brought so much joy into such a mundane life.
Yeah.
Of just day after day suffering, and to have like something that like, well, it brought joy in the sense that I felt like I was having an impact, but to be able to do it with someone that's like just so pleasant, like Emerson. And Emerson has such good ideas and is so organized. And, you know, a lot of times when I've been in projects, you know, in other times of my life, I'm usually the most annoying person because I have, you know, the
No,
notes
it's
and
me.
the, you know, no, it's, well, yeah, I mean, you're better at it than me, but like, we're both just the most annoying people. Like, we're like, okay, this is what we're doing, and here's a wiki, and here's a checkbox, and it's just like, we're very organized about it, but it gave us something to look forward to. And then, you know, it also, I think, gave us a lot of confidence and validation around our illness, that it's not just it's beyond the two of us.
Yeah.
And when I was looking for a job, when I was trying to work again, I realized how much the podcast work had benefited me during all these years of being ill, that like I had, I just felt a lot more confident and organized, and like I could take on things. Because if you can take on something like that when your life is in shambles like that, builds like your self-confidence so much. So it's just a really lovely journey.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, when it comes to the community aspect of the podcast, one of the things I want to say here is we have an application form to be a guest on our podcast. And we say application form. The reason we call it that is because we're very slow at getting back to everyone. And we got so many applications that we'd be busy for 10 years to interview every single person on that list. We want to speak to everyone, but we're not able to do it at that speed that people would wish. Seeing so many people from all over the world reach out to us and say, I want to be a guest on your podcast, made it very clear to us how many people want to share their stories, want to talk about everything they've experienced, want to spread awareness, and want to advocate for change. And we often feel so alone with all of our frustration and anger and all these feelings that we cannot experience because they will make us crash, right? And seeing that so many people relate and have these feelings too is so validating for myself, but also it makes it so clear that this community needs these kinds of podcasts, needs this kind of support, be it from your podcast or our podcast or all of the other long COVID podcasts. They're all doing such valuable and important work. And that is kind of what our community is those of us who can give and those of us who cannot give, they take, but they also pass, they give it, how does the saying go? You give it forwards, you hand.
Pay it
Pay it,
forward?
yeah,
They
pay
pay
it
it
forward.
forward because then they have information that they can give to someone in their life who suddenly gets long
Yeah.
COVID, and everyone is giving in whatever way they can, is what I want to say.
Yeah, really, that's
Yeah.
really beautiful. And I was going to ask, like, are there ways that the podcast and the community around it has surprised you or held you in ways that you didn't expect from the beginning? And that sounds
I don't think we
a lot
ever,
like
I
part of
don't
it.
think I ever expected to reach anyone. We've reached way more people
Mm,
than I ever thought would ever listen in. There have
yeah.
been people who have DM'd me my personal account. They were able to stalk me and find out whom I am on my personal accounts and thanked me because the podcast saved their life and they are here today because of it. Having that kind of power, you it
Yeah.
it's tough. It's
Yeah.
not power,
Yeah.
it's impact. It's having being able to
It's
do that for
responsibility.
someone. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't know if I'm comfortable having that kind of responsibility.
Yeah.
I
But
care
it's
for our
true for
community, but I
it's
love.
true for any trauma, right? Like when you
Yeah.
think about like the times when you've really connected with someone, like I'll read a memoir or something and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like this person wrote an like this is a biography of me. And in other times, in other struggles I've had in my life, and it made such an impact that this is
Mm,
just another kind of thing. Like when someone
yeah.
says, when they say like your podcast helped me so much, it's like I can't even tell you what that does to my soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Well, we've all been so, like, everyone's so skeptical. It's been so politicized. It's been
Yeah.
called a hoax. And I think all of us just need a witness.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, I need
yeah,
someone to say, that's real and it sucks.
yeah,
I don't even need people to say, I'm sorry, you're going through it. I would much rather have somebody say, and I think that's where people who aren't sick maybe get weird or don't know how to deal because they don't know what to say
yeah.
and they're afraid of saying the wrong thing. I don't need someone to necessarily say to me, I'm sorry. I'd much rather them go, that sounds really hard. That's bullshit.
Yeah. I think,
And that witness, I think, is what these conversations allow.
yeah,
Bearing witness is everything for
Mm,
someone that's suffering because that's
all
the
we can
minimum
have.
you can do in
Yeah.
some
yeah.
cases, or the
Yeah.
maximum you can do in some cases, right? Is just hear you, I see you,
Yeah.
I actually feel I know what that's like in a true way.
Mm,
We've been so abandoned by everyone, you know.
yeah.
There are no precautions, like no mask mandates, not even in hospitals in most cases. It's not safe for us, for anyone to be out and around unmasked. And we've been abandoned by healthcare professionals who have no answers,
Mm,
no support, nothing. We've
yeah.
been, in many cases, abandoned by our friends and family who maybe think that our
Yep.
conditions are mental illness, which is completely valid, but blaming a physiological issue on and then trying to degrade it as a mental condition is really harmful. So we've been abandoned by everyone. The only thing we have at the end of the day is our community. And it's the voices of those who have been through it, who are going through it.
Yeah.
And that is the most, and it's the most powerful thing we have to offer as well. Because it's not
Mhm.
just us who have long COVID now, it's going to be the people who get it, you know, in
Yeah.
this year, next year, in 10 years, if we continue the way we're going now.
Yeah.
And if we're continuing the way we're going now, we're not going to have any better research or treatments or anything. We're not going to have
Yeah.
knowledgeable medical practitioners.
We'll have a lot of podcasts.
Exactly.
Yeah. At least there will be art.
Yeah, and I knit. Sorry, wait. I knit a vest. I have to show you this. I'm sorry. Give me a second.
No, no, no. Please, please do.
It was for Long COVID Awareness Day, I think last year. We were like, what are we gonna do? We wanted to do an episode and we did an episode and it was really good. And then Emerson wanted to knit something that was like activist like.
Oh my God.
You can't see this, listeners, but it's a vest that says COVID stole my life.
Yeah.
Emerson, I say I survived COVID, but it took my life.
I
And that's so spot on. That is also really well done, by the way.
Thank you. I haven't weaved in the ends. I
Just
did this
technically.
last year, but I haven't weaved in any ends.
Oh,
Yeah.
nobody weaves in ends.
Um, I was so Jesse and we spent hours discussing wording and all these kinds of things because I was so like took my life, but then it sounds like it killed me. And people have died from COVID. I don't want to minimize that. And there was like this whole thing, what do I write on it? Cure long COVID. But then
Yeah.
I'm like, and then we get cured, but it's like
We leave
people-
all the other people behind.
Yeah.
yes, and do we abandon the fact that we have been harmed and gaslit for
Yeah.
years on end? Does that fact suddenly disappear because we're cured and everything's quote unquote fine now? So COVID stole my life felt the most fitting because when things are stolen, you can also take it back maybe potentially one day in the future.
Or
I
get
love
something
that.
like it.
Exactly, you can
Yeah,
rebuy
get a
it.
replacement.
Yeah, so that's one of my proudest possessions.
Yeah. And just going back to the witnessing and the being able to share these experiences, Emerson, when you were saying drinking, I like to call it straight water, drinking it needs dehydrating you. I get something very similar. I can think I'm really well hydrated and my lips are chapped because I disrupted my salt balance. And and it's different daily. And it's just like, you think you're making that stuff up because the symptomology is so fantastical. None of this seems real because it's so freaking weird.
Yeah.
But if you've been going through that for 2 years and you're like, I don't know why I can't get this right. And you hear one other person say, drinking water alone dehydrates me because of the particular way this impacted my body. You're like, oh, no. I'm
Yeah,
not
you
making
don't
it
have
up.
the words a lot of times. You
Yeah.
don't,
Word
vocab-
but like there's like feelings that you feel in your body that you never felt before, and that there
Yeah.
are no adjectives. You can't tell what it is. Is it an
Yeah.
organ, nerve? Is it a muscle? And you're feeling it and you don't know how to describe it, but it hurts or it's weird. And then you hear someone say it perfectly on a podcast and you're like, oh my God, I'm not crazy. I mean, I might
Yeah.
be crazy, but I'm not crazy about this.
Yeah, it's real.
There's an amazing
Mhm.
post by the Sick Times about this. They spoke to a linguist with long COVID. I love linguistics. I was studying linguistics at university. I could talk about this kind of stuff for ages. But they literally said that a big problem with long haulers not being taken seriously is the fact that they kind of like explain their symptoms and it doesn't make any sense. Like the spaghetti feeling in your arms, or sometimes I feel like my blood vessels go glug, glug, glug. Tell that to a doctor. They're not going to take you
I know.
seriously.
Or like the vibration of the organs, like
Yeah.
the
I feel
organs
like-
vibrating.
I feel like a battery. Like I feel like I'm vibrating, or I feel like I'm trapped in setting custard and I can't walk. Like what?
Yeah. It's
Right.
like
You don't have like the actual concrete explanations, so you find
Yeah.
these metaphors, and then people are like, that's not medical
And-
speak, so that can't be valid.
Yeah.
exactly. And it's I found that I can send it to you. That post by the Sick Times amazing because it was so validating, and as a linguistics nerd myself, I loved that take. But that's exactly the issue that we come across, is that we don't have the right terminology. And even the terminology that exists, like brain fog, that's a cutesy term for brain damage. And my brain
Yeah.
fog doesn't feel like there's fog in my brain. I feel like my brain has like there's parts missing, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's like leaking maybe, and it hurts sometimes, but it also doesn't really hurt. It's like a weird sensation. How do you tell that to a doctor? You just say, "Oh, I have brain fog."
Yeah.
Right.
We
Yeah.
all have brain
No,
fog. We all get brain
It's-
fog at the end of the day.
yeah.
It's menopause.
It's
I'm-
anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm 22.
It's
They can't
anxiety.
tell me it's
God
menopause
bless
yet.
you.
God. Well, one thing I will say is there seems to be a real ease between the two of you.
Yeah.
That's lovely. And I can see how it works. It just seems very like
Friend.
lovely.
We are.
No,
like-
that's so good.
It's like
It makes it easier for sure.
It's like we are friends who had a baby. That's the podcast, and we're very good at co-parenting.
Yeah. And
I-
what's interesting
I
too
love
is
that.
you probably wouldn't have met otherwise.
We
And
no,
you wouldn't have that
If we
When
weren't
you're
sick. Yeah.
you weren't
Yeah.
sick.
and
And
I
it's
want to
so funny how those things happen.
yeah, and I want to touch on community a little more. You mentioned you have friends in your area. And I
Mhm.
recently met long haul, or I haven't met them in person because we're spread out, but I found long haulers in Switzerland, in my country. And it was one of the most beautiful experiences ever to meet
Yeah.
people with my condition in my country and know that they exist because you feel so alone. And yes, I have Jesse and I have
Yeah.
so many other lovely friends, but they all live in the Americas.
Yeah.
And it's far away. And knowing there's someone with long COVID 3 hours away from you, it's incredibly validating. And I hope that one day, when our capacities allow it, we can meet up in person. But where was I going with this?
Fog.
I have met so many people online, and there's like this massive push from like other people to abandon social media and abandon the online world and go back to like retro things. And I think that's amazing for people who can do it. But for me, my entire
Yeah.
social life is online. The entire way I can participate in the world is online. I have the view from my window and that I can see out of from like my room or from the sofa, and that's it. That is the world that I
Yeah.
get. And I get the world on my phone. And in the world on my phone, I have friends who are bedbound, unable to speak out loud, and the only connection we have is through our phones. And that is the most important thing to me because I care about these people. They are my family.
Absolutely.
And we might not have seen each other's legs, and we might not ever see each other's legs. But
Yeah.
knowing that they're there and knowing that we're thinking of each other and that we care for each other, and knowing that when I'm having a really tough day, that they will
Yeah.
relate to what I'm going through is the most important thing that you can have when you're living with this kind of chronic illness.
Absolutely. And it means more to me knowing the limited capacity that we all
Yeah.
have, that we still will give that, especially with how difficult emotions are.
Yeah.
And we still can rely on each other for support. And I feel like a lot of us have given more to each other than our friends and family and the people who are supposed to, who are obligated contractually to care and love us.
Yeah.
I have had far more support from people I have not been in person with throughout the last 6 years than I
Yeah.
have had from,
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
anybody but my husband and my local
same.
long hauler friends.
Same. It's been my
Yeah.
mom, my dad, my sister, my best friend when she
Yeah.
moved away, so I don't really see her that much anymore. She doesn't mask. And it's been the community I found online for
Yeah.
myself. And we might not, I have this kind of sob story to tell. I have a friend who lives in Australia. I'm not going to share their name for their own privacy, but you know who I'm talking about, Jesse. We both know them. And it's my mom's birthday tomorrow. And I was sharing that I was struggling to get groceries for my mom's to make a cake for her because that's all I wanted to do was bake her a cake. And that friend sent me a message and said, "You've helped so many people. Can I, sorry, I'm gonna tear up. Can I pay to have a cake delivered to you from a bakery? Because all I want is for you to have a cake for your mom. And I just want to help you." And it was just the sweetest thing ever because no one in my, like, they live on the other side of the world. It's not
Yeah.
like it's easy for them to do this. And just offering to care and physically do
Yeah.
some help me, it's the sweetest thing. And you wouldn't get that from an able-bodied person who hasn't experienced what you have. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
That's
No, I'm
the
so grateful for that person.
generosity. It's like kind of reminds me, I don't know how to say this right. Maybe you guys can help me say this better, but it's kind of like if you don't have money, you share more
Yeah.
than when you do.
Yes.
So, like
Yes.
people that are more economically disadvantaged know the value of money
Yeah.
Yeah.
and know what things cost and know how to share and make things go go for longer.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas folks who never had to think about that, it's a lot different. So I think we know just how precious an act of kindness actually is to us because
Yes.
we
Yeah.
see so little of it from the people
Mm.
that are supposed to care. And we know how precious it is to expend any energy on anything. And we're willing to sacrifice that precious energy to show that we get it and that
Yes.
we
Yeah.
love our community. And it's just, if I suddenly was well tomorrow, at different times I've actually felt maybe for a couple days really good, and I thought, this is it, I'm cured. Everybody, I'm cured. I
Yeah.
wasn't cured. But at different times I've thought that, and I got sad immediately because I thought, oh, I don't have a place in this community anymore.
But you do.
Because it's just so lovely, right?
Yeah.
And so it's I never want to lose my connection, even if I became very even if I became very healthy and was suddenly able to live a life like I used to. This has changed the way that I see humans forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some interesting brought up an interesting thing to me, which is how sad I get when I see people disengage, but in a way that's not like I know that they feel better, so they've moved on. I see a lot of people who are deciding that they're not sick anymore, who I know still are, but who have decided they're not and they're gonna just
Yeah.
carry on and disappear. It's very confusing for me.
Yeah. I
I
don't know
feel
how to
It,
square that either.
so
it's a weird
difficult
one.
because there are people on our server who suddenly stopped talking, and I know that they're not
Yeah.
recovered, and I'm always worried, are they okay? But you don't
Yeah.
have, I have met a lot of my online friends in that server, but I don't have that relationship with everyone in there, and I don't feel
Yeah.
comfortable randomly texting someone like, hey, are you okay? I'm thinking of you. It's difficult to watch people disappear because with this kind of condition, you don't know if something terrible has happened to them.
Exactly.
I don't know if you, but like they could have died or they could have had a
Yeah.
terrible, something terrible could have happened. And
Mm-hmm.
it's you're confronted with that constant mortality in a way.
Mm.
I see it in the mutual aid posts and fundraisers.
Yes.
There's a lot of people who are very close to death, and the only people who are supporting them are the other people who are very close to
Other
death,
people.
or other people who are in the community who understand that they might
Yep.
not be close to death, but one day they could be, and they know what it means to support each other. And constantly being confronted with that does something to you that
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe, but seeing people my age, I'm 22, apply and being allowed to get medical assistance in death and then going through with it is
Yeah.
incredibly difficult to watch happen over and over again in your community, and being helpless to the fact that it's happening. And all you can do is talk about it and spread awareness and hope that one day something systemic changes, that these people, that future lives can be saved. But you can't do anything to save that person's life because there
Yeah.
is no help that exists that could make their life or their quality of life livable. Sorry, now I've just taken it to a really, really dark place.
No, but
I think
but a lot of this is very dark
Yeah,
and it's hard and there's so much grief.
there
I think
is.
that's why we giggle so much, right? Like we have kind of gallows humor at times. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Kind of,
I think the other part of this is that, if they have stepped away, sometimes that's not even their choice. So the other side that I see a lot is they have situations at home that are not safe for them to be ill.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So partners that say this is in your head, you have to stop this, you have to go back to work, you have to this or that. And that's really hard because will connect with someone and they're part of our community. And then, like you said, Emerson, they disappear and you're like, what has happened? And you
Yeah.
have no connection to them in the real life
Yeah.
to check on them, to make sure that they're okay. But when you're disabled like this, you don't have a lot of options to leave a situation like
No.
that.
No.
And the world isn't set up in a way to support people that need that escape. So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's really complicated. I think that's why some of our relationships are so strong in this
Yeah.
community because we face so much together. We face so much trauma and we witness together so much heartache. And we
Yes.
talk about it and we process it in ways that we wouldn't have before we were sick. And it
Yeah.
just really deepens the bonds, I
Yeah.
think.
It really does.
And I want to add to what Jesse spoke about, or like adjacently, the only reason that I'm able to do this podcast, because I'm homebound 95% of the day I spend in bed, is because my parents take care of me. I'm in an extremely privileged situation where I have, in Switzerland, everyone has to have health insurance, but I have health insurance and my family can afford to also pay for me to go to the doctor on top of that. My parents take care of me. They do all the housework so I don't have to do any of it. They cook and bring food to my bed so that I have the energy to have these conversations with you, that I have the energy to contribute to my community, and that I have the energy to do things like knit my vest. And there are a lot of people, and I think about this often in our podcast, is that we're sharing the stories of people who have a lot of privilege and who are not maybe as severe, and people who are able to talk out, speak out loud. And we're not sharing the stories of those people in dark rooms who cannot tolerate any light or noise. We're not sharing the stories of people who are in war zones with long COVID or any kind of severe chronic illness because they are too busy surviving every day to come on here and talk to us. And I think one thing I want to add here for anyone listening to this who doesn't have long COVID is that just because you're hearing us speak here, and just because you're hearing stories of people who are not that bad, quote unquote, doesn't mean that it isn't worse. You're just hearing those stories of people who are privileged, and you're only listening to people. And we're able to do these podcasts because there are other things in our lives that get pushed back, because this is
There are
something we
good days.
prioritize, and because there are good days, and because we have
And highly edited.
and because we have family that takes care of us, or at least in my case. I know that it's different for both of you probably, but
No, you're spot on. This actually leads into, I have at the end of every episode, and when I do segments like this, 3 questions that I ask every guest, and I change them every season. One always stays the same, but this actually leads very nicely into my first new question for season 4.
Amazing.
Are you ready to move into the...
yeah.
Okay. Question 1, the new question 1 for the big 3 is, what do you wish the general public understood about long COVID?
We asked this question
It's such a
a
difficult
lot,
one to
actually.
answer. I regret asking this to our guests now.
Is there one you
I think the main thing for me is it's not mild or temporary.
Mm.
Just to sum it up in one sentence, because that's what the media wants to portray it as, and it's neither of those.
This week I was telling a coworker that I couldn't join them at a retreat with our company that's overseas because I have an immune disorder. I didn't say it was long COVID because I know how that's viewed. And I reminded them, remember in 2020 when we said some people have pre-existing conditions that, they can't get COVID or else terrible things will happen? Like, that's still true. Like, that's still true in 2026. And that's why I'm so limited.
Yeah.
And I just kind of framed it that way, even though I've probably always had this immune disorder, right? My immune system responding the way it did to COVID, because I have had other periods of illness in my life, not nearly as severe, but bad. And it's just, they don't, he said something like, oh yeah, nobody even thinks about COVID anymore. And I was like, bingo, that's why I can't go. Like, if people actually like thought, hey, that's still true. I could actually kill someone with my negligence or ruin their life, then perhaps they would act differently. So I guess that's my answer, is that if they remembered what they knew in 2020, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are both really good answers. Thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
Question number 2, I always give the context in case someone's new listening. I will never change because I have a playlist of them, and I think it's a beautiful expression of this experience. But I ask this question because so many people lost the ability to listen to music, and some of us still can't. And I love seeing how people connect with it, whether it's melody or lyrics, or I think it is very telling about their symptoms. But if your long COVID experience had a theme song, what would that theme song be? I always tell people who overthink about it, what's the first song that pops into your head? Because that's probably it.
There's
Even
a
if you haven't listened for a
song,
long time.
when I was bedbound, I could only listen to really light classical music. I actually have 2 songs, if that's okay.
You can have my
One of-
song because I can't listen to music.
One of them is Claire de Lune. For some reason, that did something to my brain that was so good. I would be in bed in pain with these nonstop migraines, no sensory stimulation that I could tolerate. And I would listen to Claire de Lune, and just that beginning would just bring me just this, it's such a beautiful,
Mm.
it's just so beautiful. Debussy's Claire de Lune. But then, Spotify gives you like a bunch of other related stuff. And there's this song, I don't remember who the pianist is, but it's called New Dawn. And it's just a very slow and quiet and kind of meditative instrumental that is also kind of weepy. And it
Mm.
just made me feel like loneliness, that like that loneliness along with the beauty
Yeah.
of the struggle, right? The wisdom that you take from it, the unexpected positives that happen, that you feel kind of angry that you even call them positives because everything else just fucking sucks.
Mm.
It just, as soon as we got a piano my first year of being ill, and I learned to play it by ear, and now I play it
Oh my God.
every single time I play the piano, I play that song, because it just reminds me of how far I've come, and it makes my brain just feel good, and it reminds me
Mm.
of the struggle. So, New
That's
Dawn,
beautiful.
a piano piece that I can't remember who wrote it.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I'm gonna go find them. I always go listen right
Oh,
after.
I haven't really been able to listen to music since
Yeah.
developing long COVID. The only music I can sometimes tolerate a little bit is Hosier, and it's very few select songs. It's
Mhm.
not bad that my brain decided that that was tolerable. Like, there's worse music to
Right?
listen to.
Absolutely.
I think it would be Nobody's Soldier for me by Hosier. I don't know if I can explain it the way Jesse did, but his music is so emotional and it's
Yeah.
so metaphorical that you can decide what it means for you, in the moment.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And like he has so many beautiful songs that are so meaningful to me. And Nobody's Soldier is kind of one that for me is it was released right after I developed long COVID. I actually had concert tickets to see him and I couldn't.
Oh, God damn it. I'm so sorry.
But yeah,
Mm.
I think definitely a Hosier song and right now in the spur of the moment I'm gonna say that one.
That's, thank you for sharing it. There's so many emotions tied to
Yeah.
music and all of the things that we want so desperately to have.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you taking the time just to even think about what that song would be. All right, the last one I have, we've talked a lot about, but it's kind of getting very specific about community and support. And whether it's a person or like a Discord server you've talked about, some kind of online space or something that you didn't expect, what has the support that you've gotten from this community made possible for you?
To be here sitting with you today.
Mm,
I think. Without this community, I
Excuse me.
wouldn't have met any of you guys for just like basic things. But I also wouldn't have learned a lot of these like life hacks, not drinking your water neat, all these
Mhm.
kinds of things, and I wouldn't have found so many like just I before I learned about like electrolytes and compression and all these things, I wasn't able
Hmm.
even sit up in bed. That was not something that was possible to me due to how severe my POTS is, and I still can't without these things. So it's not improved with time. But I wouldn't be able to have these conversations if it wouldn't have been for the tools and the tricks I learned from the community. And so the main thing that it has given me is my ability to do things I enjoy, and that is talking to you guys and knitting and combining the two to make activist or like advocacy sweaters. But yeah, I think, and the second thing I think is that it has allowed me to find friendship and like a chosen family.
Yes.
It's a big term that's used in the queer community, and before this, I didn't feel like I had any of that type of chosen family, and I think now I found it. It might be scattered all over the world, and I might never see them in person, but that is what I have now, and I wouldn't have found them ever if it wouldn't have been for all of these networks that we have created for ourselves.
I feel that.
Amen. Yeah, that's everything that you said, Emerson.
Oh.
The thing, I mean, there's kind of, I guess if I had to pick one thing that the community has enabled me to do, a lot of it is, this is going to sound really cold, but like data. like getting data from people, right? Like hearing their experience and then saying, maybe that's what's happening to me too.
Oh
Maybe
yeah.
that's why this feels this way. And, from the times where like I have just sent a bajillion voice messages to Emerson being like, I don't know why I'm having this flare. What is happening? And Emerson giving me back like, well, this is what it might be happening, or this is how it affects me, or something. To, searching Reddit and seeing people talk about, just whatever. And then it, it it's kind of like you're debugging something. You're like trying
Yeah.
to solve a puzzle, but if I had to do that myself without the internet, I would never get there. I would never be
Yeah.
able to find what my triggers are to be able to live more of a life.
Yeah. I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah.
No.
How do you with books search for, I feel like I'm in setting custard and I can't read?
You think about like the Spanish flu and all the people that suffered after
Oh my
that.
gosh.
Yeah.
There's no internet.
It's also because we have such vague symptoms, and often we have small symptoms that are part of a bigger picture. And
Mhm.
a Google search can't put that together for you. But if you have amazing community or friends that are like, but Emerson, you mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Is that still ongoing? And you have this issue. Do you maybe also have this issue? Because that could point towards this problem, this like root issue in this condition. And
You're like, oh,
yeah, when you have people that care about you and look at long COVID research papers too, they know, my family calls me like a hobby doctor because because I'm just
We
like,
have a hive mind. Oh,
um, they'll come to me
yeah.
with their blood results and ask, Emerson, what does this mean? Because I've researched this and I talk to
yeah.
people about this kind of stuff all day, every day. And it's yeah, and we learn these things from each other. I've not read research papers about everything, but I've heard from friends who have read the research papers and summarized them for me, and I learned from them. And that's how we all learn and do
Mhm.
better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we've all been able to help each other find out so much.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have known about LDN. I wouldn't have known about Abilify. I wouldn't have known about, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
it,
would
and
never
it's
have
all moved
started
me forward.
I would never have started Cromulin if it weren't for Jessie. I would never have trialed LDN if it weren't for Jessie.
I just wouldn't
Um,
shut up about it. I was like, listen.
I was like,
Yeah.
I remember Cromulin isn't available in Switzerland. I have to import it. And it was a whole thing. Jessie was like, Emerson, try this, try this. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like a whole thing. I can't get it here. I went to my GP and he's like, it's not that. I can't import it for you. Um, and at some point, I got so desperate. I didn't know if I'd be able to eat much and much longer
Yeah.
if I didn't try it. So I did. And I'm so glad that
That's what
I,
it is. We get runway. We give each other runway when we're desperate.
yeah,
Like
it's
you
like,
had things to
Yeah.
try, and then the same from
I've been hoarding mine for when society falls apart and I can have my bag of
I
extras.
also
yeah,
have been stocking up on cromolyn and everything. So
yeah,
I feel
Mm,
you.
yeah.
yeah. Wild.
I, I have taken exactly, it's a box of 100 pills. I have taken exactly 1/4 of a pill.
Oh my gosh.
And that
Isn't
was
it funny
enough.
how we can be so sensitive and it's like I took a quarter of a milligram and was crashed out.
And the
And
recommended
it,
Yeah.
dose is one pill that's 5 milligrams. And
hmm
um my GP is amazing. I will go to like the quote unquote specialists, experts, and they'll tell me to start a medication or just like change the dose or whatever. And my GP will receive the report and he will call me and be like, Emerson, don't do it. It's gonna kill you. And he's like, start with like a quarter dose or like don't do it that way
oh
because he knows I'll have those
yeah.
reactions. I know that too, but I always wait to discuss it with him because I don't want to go around doing things willy-nilly and pissing off all the doctors I see. But yeah, I took a quarter of the recommended dose and it was enough to completely knocked me out for the entire day. I wasn't able to do anything that day. I don't even know. I would have landed in the ER if I would have taken the regular dose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took propranolol once for my
Yeah.
POTS and they gave me 5 milligrams. So I was like, I'm going to cut it in half. So I took 2.5 milligrams of propranolol and passed the fuck out. I fully fainted. It was because I'm already very
Low
low
blood pressure.
baseline. I have low blood
Me
pressure.
too.
My before COVID heart rate average was 55 BPMs. My average temperature is 96, right? They gave me propranolol for POTS. I
2.5.
passed
I take
out on
40 a day.
2.5 milligrams. I took it, and in 15 minutes, I went, huh.
Yeah, my GP at some point was like, he was desperate because my heart rate was so high. I was like, well, just try with really, really low dose beta blocker. I think it was metoprolol, however you pronounce it. And I had the exact same reaction. I'm like you. I have incredibly low blood pressure. My body temperature used to, I don't know, Fahrenheit. It used to be 35 degrees Celsius. But now since I got long COVID, I'm at like 37.5 degrees Celsius every day, which means I have for the past 2.5 years, I've had a low-grade fever, which no one will take
Oh
seriously.
my, Emerson, 6 years, 6 years. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I hit 99. And when your baseline is 96, 95, 9, 96, for 6 years to hit 99, between a 99 and 100, every day since
That's
April 2020.
wild.
It's
That's wild.
exhausting. People
Yeah.
do not think, but my body is trying really hard to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
the
got
problem
something
is
it's going for in there.
the problem is that technically, like according to Switzerland, my fever is still within normal range, but it's
Yeah.
2.5 degrees Celsius higher than it is normal for me, which is technically a sign of a low-grade fever. And that for me is
Yes.
incredibly concerning to think about. And I remember I was talking about it in the server, and I was just like, yeah, I have this thing. It's like, Emerson, you've had a low-grade fever for so long, and no one's taking you serious. I'm like, I didn't even think about it being a low-grade fever until you guys said it. And then what am I gonna do?
That's what I was going to ask. That was what I was going to ask next. And then I'm going to go because I'm going to.
Yeah, it's
die.
nearly
I'm
10
gonna
p.m.
die.
here.
Yeah. Okay. During your acute infections, did you spike a fever?
I did.
I didn't either.
I had a mild fever, but our thermometer was broken, so we don't actually know how high the fever was. But the main indication that I had is that I had all the typical other like fever symptoms. I had severe tachycardia.
I had the symptoms. I felt like,
but I never had one.
yeah, I was like, I'm so hot. I had the rash. I was really sick. I didn't have any cough, any pulmonary, and no fever, but I felt like I had a fever, and I was like, why? And even as I've been ill the last several years, I'll take my temperature when I think I have a fever, no fever. I don't know what is going on. But
I think
I will say I've always
know.
kind of run cold. I have hypothyroidism, and I think that's part of it. So like I'm always at like a 97. But yeah.
I don't know how I'm alive with my temperature and my heart rate and my. But my heart rate would spike into the 180s.
Yeah.
And that's why they did the propranolol.
Me too.
I hit 201 once. Giving my son a bath, I hit 201, and I thought, I'm going to die.
It feels so bad. And then do you have the hyperadrenergic? Does your blood pressure rise as well? Mine.
I don't think it's my.
I have neuropathic POTS. So
like mine it felt like my head was gonna pop. Like I would stand up and I would get like the 180 whatever, and I would get hypertensive. I thought I was gonna die. It was so uncomfortable.
Sorry, Jessie, do you have how do you pronounce it? Supine hypertension? I had it's when
orthostatic hypertension.
No, it's when the opposite, when you lie down.
Oh.
I lie down, I have high blood pressure.
I got a really knowledgeable doctor randomly on a day, and he asked me, "Do you have supine hypertension?" Which means that when you lie down, your blood pressure spikes.
No, it's the opposite.
I stared at him and I was like, "You know terminology? You know shit? You said a word I didn't know?" But yeah, he was like really concerned about it. I said, I don't think I have that. But that is something that's apparently really common in also hyperadrenergic type.
I've never taken my blood pressure lying down because it has you sit up and put your wrist in your heart.
I have one on my arm and it do it lying down.
Right. Like it would be, but I've never tried that, so I'll have to try it. But I don't know if it would happen now, but back then.
I don't know. I just like had a random thought.
Yeah. Anyway, we have we're going for it.
We have.
I gotta go eat.
I've had the best time. I'm officially adopting both of you. Thank you so much.
It's been so lovely. If you want to join our Discord server, you can join, but no pressure.
Please invite me.
I will invite you.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's been so lovely meeting you, Beth. You are
so
now,
nice to meet you both. Thank you.
You are now officially
a friend.
Fabulous.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry that this is.
Yeah, this was way longer than
If we're tired, I can't even say words. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm so sorry.
I do. All right. Don't be, because I stayed and I just kept talking. It's been so
It was refreshing.
Easy.
It gave me energy.
Me too. But I have to go to bed now. It's 10 p.m.
And now, now I have to go to bed.
It was lovely chatting with
you. You too. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to A Friend for the Long Haul. I want to remind listeners that while our conversations may touch on medical topics, I'm not a medical professional and neither are most of our guests. The content provided here is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Any advice or information shared should not be considered a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider regarding any medical concerns or conditions. Additionally, I'm committed to transparency in advertising. Any advertisements or sponsored content featured in these episodes will be clearly disclosed as such. Lastly, I acknowledge that the recording of this podcast takes place on the traditional lands of the Arapaho, the Cheyenne, the Sioux, and the Ute peoples. Again, thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more episodes of A Friend for the Long Haul.